Drew. Welcome to Revitalize Womanhood. I'm so glad that you're here with me today. I have a lot of questions for you. You are going to be in the hot seat. It's going to be like the pew, pew, lightning round. Iron Council lightning round.
Awesome. Gina, thank you so much for having me. Happy to be here.
I think you're used to this, though. How many times have you been on the podcast for Order of Man?
Not that many.
Really?
I've done a few Ask Me Anythings with Kip. When Ryan is out of town or has another engagement. So I've done a handful of the Ask Me Anythings, and it's great. I love it. I love being able to give back, especially to a group that's done so much for me over all the years.
I love that you already said it like that, because I want to introduce you. I'm already have introduced you to my listeners a little bit, but Drew again was the 13th member of the Iron Council. How many years ago was that?
5, maybe.
So it was right when the Iron Council opened.
So Ryan had started. I met Ryan through another mentorship group, the Lion's Den, Sean Whalen's group. We were both new members. We joined at the relatively around the same time, and Sean had introduced Ryan and a little bit about what Ryan was doing. And so I looked into it and I thought, oh man, that's even more laser focused into what exactly it is I'm looking for right now in my life, the need that I had at the time. And Ryan had it was a little different. It wasn't really a membership group or a mastermind group. He had opened the Iron Council to 12 men, and it was a 6-week program at the time. So they joined, I think it was, and I had just missed that. It was already 2 or 3 weeks into it. And I think, if memory serves me correctly, Ryan had realized that there were some legs to this. Like, this could be something that could be more of an ongoing membership-based group for guys to, like-minded men to get together and really work on themselves. And so he quickly turned it into that, and I joined. I mean, immediately.
Lucky 13.
I think I was like number 13. Yeah.
That's amazing. What made you said that it was a little bit more laser focused. So tell me about what it was that made you go, wait a minute, I think that the value is going to be here rather than here. What was it that because before, at that time in your life, were you married?
Yes.
And did you have kids yet?
My son.
Okay.
Yes.
So what was it at that point that made you say, okay, this has something over here, but I think, Ryan, this is more what I'm looking for? What was it the difference?
So at that point in my life, I just wasn't a good man, I guess, in a lot of ways. I just wasn't showing up the way I needed to. I was miserable from business. I had, what looked like a successful business. I think I was successful in a lot of ways, but it just wasn't pouring into my relationship with my wife, to my relationship with my son. And most importantly, even more so than that, the relationship with myself. I just was not, I was fat. I was unhappy. I wasn't fulfilled. And I needed some help. I needed a kick in the ass, really, to get me going in the right direction. I've looked up to Sean for a long time. And his group, it was very early on when the Lion's Den had kind of come around, that it wasn't as big as it is now. So I joined that, and it's great. Don't get me wrong. I stayed in the Lion's Den for many years. It's co-ed, men and women, and it just, the focus wasn't as, at least in my eyes, it wasn't as dialed in as Ryan's was specifically for what I was looking for at that very time. And maybe I just didn't see it with Sean, or maybe I just didn't dive fully into it. But I tell you what, I met Ryan and I heard what he had to say. And it just, like, the light bulb went off, and it was like, here it is. This is where I need to commit my time and my effort and my energy. And I stayed in the Lion's Den for 2 or 3 more years after that point as well, and got a ton out of that. And Sean's been an incredible mentor, repping the Lion's Den shirt here right now, actually.
Awesome.
But Ryan really spoke to what it was that I was looking for.
And that's a lot to be said about a leader, especially we all know what Ryan is. We all know his presence and how well he does on the podcast and how well he leads his men. And, so that's something to be said, that you saw that in him that many years ago, and, put your faith in him, put your trust in him, and it's served you well. Obviously, you're still here, you're still around,
yes.
And you are, tell me what you're
still a committed member.
Yes. Tell me what you are in the Iron Council.
So I've kind of seen the Iron Council from all the angles. I mean, from a very small group of guys, we used to meet on Skype. once a week on, we had our Friday calls, and that was it. There was some other parts of the Iron Council too that worked in there, but it's grown so much since then. I think well over 1,000 members at this point. At first, we had battle buddies. We paired up with another guy for a month long, and we just worked on specific goals within each other's accountability partner, I guess you could kind of say in that sense too.
Yeah.
Once we grew to a certain level, then we introduced the team structure. So I was the team leader of Team Alpha, the first team designated in the Iron Council for many years, actually just up until last year, when Ryan had asked me to be more involved on the executive leadership side of Order Man and the Iron Council. And I just realized that I couldn't show up for my team and the way Ryan needed me to show up from a battle team mentor and some other leadership roles that I have within the organization. I just couldn't do it all. It was very hard. I got to tell you, Gina, it was the alpha team leader position for me was just near and dear to my heart. It's kind of what started it all. Honestly, it's what started the Iron Council. It was the very first team that was created. It was Alpha. And we just went down from there, and then Bravo, and so on and so forth. So, Alpha team, and a lot of those guys had been around for a long time members of the Iron Council. So handing the torch off, I knew it was the right thing to do, but man, it was tough. It was hard to give up the reins. There was a lot of emotion there for me, just moving on and allowing someone else to take over the team.
Absolutely. It's like your baby, I mean, really, yeah, totally. It is like leaving your baby at a babysitter for the first time or something. You're like, wait a minute. Do you really know what you're doing here? Wait, no, let me explain this to you. And they're going, yeah, I get it. I know how to do this. I get it. And you're like, but do you? And a lot of different personalities, and you get to know each and every one of them. And that's amazing. How many members did it have when you handed it off? Or does it have? I guess it would be, does it? Yeah, Team Alpha. Or do you guys keep them in specific amounts of numbers?
The teams, our structure, we try to keep the teams around 15 members. It would be considered a full teams. I think in maybe some rare instances, there might be some teams that have a couple more guys, but we've really found that's a good number.
Personalized, one-on-one type stuff.
Yeah, just the group conversation and just the way that it's all structured.
So I am feeling that right now with my women in the Sisterhood. We've paired up and we've got our hype girls, and this is where we're starting. So where we are. So Drew has luckily given me his wisdom and helped me with my website and getting that finalized and getting our network set up so that we have the structure. So we are already light years ahead of what you guys were in the Iron Council when it first started. We are, so it does, you've heard me talk about it, does get into those things where these women that are coming over for the Sisterhood, naturally, it's only human nature to just instantly compare, well, what about this in the Iron Council that my husband has? Well, what about this that has? And it's like, okay, I understand. I've been explaining it. I understand. Yes, the foundation is there. You cannot have a community without people. So as it grows, obviously things are going to change and things are going to structure differently. And like you're saying, you have Team Alpha, you've got your 12, then you move to Team Bravo, then you've got your 12, then you move to, it's anything like that. And so I think these women have these growing pains where they're just like, they've been waiting for this for so long. They're so excited about it. That's what I'm feeling. So I'm doing my best to just keep up and keep up and keep up. But at the same time, this is the Sisterhood. This is a revitalized Sisterhood. This is not the Iron Council. So what's some good advice for my women or anybody looking at joining this to kind of help? Okay, here's the better question. So it's kind of like kids, and you're in that phase of toddler, and everyone's like, you'll just miss it when it's gone, right? You stop looking at, when they're big enough to do this, or when they're big enough to talk, or when they're eating this, or, it's like, no. Be present, appreciate what it is now. That's what I'm trying to tell them is it's not going to be, our Zoom call was on one screen, all of us. And I got to see each one of them. And I'm like, this is not going to be this way forever. Appreciate it. So what's your advice for that as far as how you felt from when it started versus now it's just so big? And luckily the team leaders do such a good job of keeping their teams. But as far as Ryan's involvement, he's a facilitator.
You related this to having kids in the toddler phase. That people say it takes a village to raise, a family, to
Yeah.
raise a child, and that's so true. And in this regard, I would say to the women in your group, and really to anybody that's starting this journey with starting a group like this, a community like this, is that you've got to understand that this is the beginning, and just don't take it for granted. I mean, I look back at those early Iron Council days, and what an experience it was even then, with just such a small group of guys that wanted to, we all had the same thing in common. We wanted to be the best versions of ourselves, the best men we could be. We came from all different walks of life, guys that extreme wealth, multimillionaires, to guys that are working retail jobs, just getting started in their dating relationship. And, it just, you name it, we've had every flavor across the board come through the Iron Council doors. And it's the general understanding that they just want to show up and be the best versions of themselves that they can be. They're tired of the monotonous day-to-day garbage that's, fed to us, that tells us that we should be one way when we know darn well exactly what we should be doing to show up every day. So to your group, Gina, and the women, it's just, you got to take it for what it is. You've got a handful of women right now, 10 or 12 women in your group, and that's going to grow.
We're on Lucky 13, just like you. So that's 13. Why it's appropriate that I have you on.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Very cool. I love that. That's great. So they just need to remember that, and I get it. It's hard because you look at what the Iron Council is 5 or 6 years into it, and we were there once too. We were right where you are right now too. So this is just the beginning of the journey, and it is going to grow. It is going to develop. You are going to find new ways to increase the value of what it is you're offering. But these first, 13 women should be proud of where this is starting. And yes, there's going to be some kinks, and yes, there's going to be some things that maybe don't make a ton of sense. And trust me, we have tried, Gina, everything. We've tried every platform, every planning, concept for goal setting, and we've done it all in Iron Council. We've tried so many things, from paper printouts of what our battle plan looks like, to now we have a full-blown app, but that comes with time. This is a marathon. This journey of, we get to the broad topic of self-development and self-improvement. I love what Andy Frisella says about personal excellence being the ultimate rebellion. This is a marathon. You're going to be learning every day. I mean, I hear it from guys inside the Iron Council all the time. Drew, you've been around 6 years. Like, you've had to have mastered this. Not even close. I lose all the time. I have just as many losses as I do wins. Now, my ability to pivot and my ability to react to negativity and those kinds of things is very good. I've learned how to manage those types of things. And I just am a little further along on this journey than some of these guys are in the group right now. But we're all after the same thing. I want to show up every day for myself, for my kids, for my wife, for my friends and family. And that's just how you have to look at this. That's how these women are going to have to look at what you are building here with the Revitalized Womanhood, is that you're building a community for them to grow. And this is the early stages, and there's going to be some speed bumps, and we still have speed bumps and things that get in the way at 1,000 members. So It's not like it's ever just totally perfect and 100% ironed out.
I think you landed on the value. When in the beginning, did you ever question the value, or did you just get it? You just had faith. You said that the light bulb came on. And honestly, when Ryan came to me with this, it was the same way. A light bulb came on. I was like, it wasn't even a hesitation. It was like, yes, I'm here for this. So I get that light bulb. But was there any moments where you didn't see it, or was it just that was your attitude, gonna make it work, and this is gonna be amazing? Or, how'd you feel?
Look, your group is not going to be for everyone. It just isn't.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had plenty of members come through the Iron Council, and it's just not, maybe it's not the right time in their life. Maybe they haven't accepted that they need to get some help. It's very hard in a men's group, for men to ask for help. That's a very challenging thing to do. I was at a point in my life where something had to give. It was pivotal. We were at a point where it was like, okay, we got to do something here. I need to man up and figure out what I'm not doing in my life. I've never questioned the value of the Iron Council, because anytime I've ever thought, okay, maybe this has run its course, maybe it's time to do something different or try something different. I take a overarching look, 30,000 foot view of where I'm at right now in my life. And I realize that there is a shortfall somewhere, and I am not doing the things I committed to doing that the Iron Council teaches us to do to achieve. And when I implement those things back in place, I realize I'm right exactly where I should be.
That's amazing.
So I'm not saying that you're going to have these same 13 women that you've had forever. Matter of fact, I think I'm the only, from the guys behind me, the 12 below me, I don't think any of them are involved in Iron Council
really?
But I mean, and maybe rightfully so in a lot of ways. Guys have just learned and moved on and done different things, throughout their lives. And that's okay. But for me, Ryan has continued to show up day and day in the ways I've needed his leadership, and he's given me the tools and trust in me over the years to now lead a lot of what we do inside the Iron Council as well too. So that just speaks volumes to Ryan's ability to lead, and I think that these women will learn that from you too. Is that you're showing up and building this foundation, and it's going to take a village to get it off the ground and to get it moving and shaking.
Absolutely. What would you say about, you mentioned the multimillionaires that come into it, and even I have spoken with and had conversations with women when I'm telling them about my new movement as well, and they're very successful women, and I talk about things like it's lonely at the top. I don't think it's it's necessarily handling those kind of people, but those kind of people have mentalities like, I know, maybe not I know it all, but I've been through it all. Maybe they're more experienced. Maybe they're more something than the guy that, like you said, is just opening his first retail shop or whatever. Obviously that's two very different people in their life journey. But what is a good lesson for someone like that maybe has this kind of I'm better than people attitude? To see the value in all human beings. You know what I mean? Because say maybe I'm really good at fitness. I mean, I'm not, but say that I am. I'm really good at fitness. And I get into the Sisterhood, and one of our topics, our core categories, is fitness and its body. So I'm not going to, it's like taking advice from someone who's overweight for me to be in fitness. But I don't know how to ask the question. You can't look at it that way. Do you get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. So the people that say it's lonely at the top, or this proverbial better than everyone else, those people need the most help. They need this group more than anybody else, because the lonely at the top thing, I'm not at the top in my respective field. I don't know exactly what that means. I have a hard time swallowing that or digesting that. If you're lonely at the top, you're at the wrong top. Let's just be honest. You should be surrounding yourself with people that are constantly challenging and pushing you. So if you need to get your ego out of the way, and you need to reevaluate all these areas in your life. Now, let's take this person that says that it's lonely at the top. So it sounds like to me, they're really good at business. They've probably got that really worked out. So financially, they're probably in really good shape. How's their fitness? How is their personal relationship with God, or their spiritual relationship? How is their relationship with their significant other and their kids? Are they winning in all those areas too? I guarantee you they're not. Yeah. Guaranteed. Exactly. It's not possible. You can't run 100% at all the time in every area of your life. It's impossible. You will burn out so quickly. You have to be able to balance those things out. You've got to find the balance in those things. That's why groups like this, the Iron Council, your group tailored to women, are so important, because women like that or men like that, I've seen it 1,000 times. We have over 1,000 members in the Iron Council, and we've had those guys come in that you would think on paper, have the perfect life, and they are the most miserable and need the most accountability and direction to get things back on track. And what's crazy is this person or these kinds of people, they excel even further once they get all these other areas of their life organized. So I I get it. I get that that's challenging, but if that's your mentality coming into something like this, then you're either not ready for it or you're extremely overdue for what a group like this offers. And you should set your ego aside, check it at the door, and put a battle plan together. And I'm speaking in Iron Council terms, but put a plan together for some quarterly goals that you want to achieve.
Yeah.
And maybe you really do need to focus on your fitness or your spiritual health or your
community, your
bonds.
We
call calibration, community. Yeah, exactly. Those areas are probably lacking in your life, and you should probably focus on them, because that is going to spill into how you show up in your business, and your business is going to succeed moving forward from there. I've done it myself time and time again when I put my battle plans together. If I'm focusing really heavily in one area, I see some shortcomings in some others. And as soon as I find that little bit of balance across the board, all the areas go up together. The foundation grows and it gets taller. So
absolutely. I love it. That was perfectly said. I really appreciate your answer in that. Why do you, I think you answered that actually. Sorry, you guys, I've got my notes here because it's like told you, it's the lightning round. I have so many questions for Drew, and I want I can ask him these things anytime, poor Drew, but I want you all to hear them because I think it's so important to where we are so new and it is the foundation of the same community, you know. What do you see for the sisterhood as far as you've helped me set this up? So I missed my deadline on September 15th when Ryan reopened the Iron Council because I was saying, and I'm not ready. I don't think it's good enough. I'm not. And Ryan's like, it's good enough. It's ready. Do it. Just do it. And I'm just like, no. But then you came into it. And I mean, what do you think about that? You think we're light years ahead of where you were, obviously.
You have to, if you constantly are getting ready, you're just going to be getting ready to get ready, right? Like you're getting ready to get ready. Like that's not going to get you anywhere. Like you just have to start at some point. And I think that there are some foundational things you need to put in place in for what you're trying to do. But those things are simple. Like it doesn't have to be perfect. And that is exactly the same for you as an individual, whether this is someone in your group or what we talk about, the guys in Iron Council. If you are trying to get your life in order and you need to start somewhere, you just got to start. Now, I know that you frame a lot of how you focus your planning and your battle plans around the 4 quadrants, and we break them all down. The lowest hanging fruit for getting your life in order is to get your fitness, your health under control. It's the lowest hanging fruit. You can see the biggest difference in the shortest amount of time. If you are fat and overweight and unhealthy, get up off the couch and walk to the mailbox and walk back. And then the next time, walk around the block. The next time, do it twice. I mean, this is like how you're going to see the quickest gain. Cut out the crap out of your diet. Like just stop drinking soda and replace it with water. Or, it's just that's where you can see the biggest difference. And so I think it's just getting started, just starting somewhere with something. If you have an idea, write it down and focus on that. If you want to read more, pick up a book. The solutions, Gina, are really so simple. This whole thing, this self-development journey it's really so easy. The complexities come in because you can't get out of your own way. And that's true for everybody. I do it daily to this day. I mean, I still find myself getting in my own way and I'm like, Drew, just scoot over, go forward. And when you do that, you're like, oh, wow, that was really simple. So just starting is the key to it all. I know it might sound harsh but that might be what you need. If you're struggling time and time again, at the same time, it's not a magic pill. You don't join a group like Gina's group. You don't join the Iron Council, like Ryan's group, and all your problems just instantly go away. No. We give you the tools to help you solve some of those issues that you're facing so that you can move forward. You're going to have to take some responsibility. You're going to have to take some self-start and motivation to get going. But if you can commit to one of these groups and commit to the process, you're going to see results.
And obviously, men and women are so different. I mean, in
so different
5 bazillion ways, and the different things that we encourage because both of our groups encourage women. Yes, I know it's hard to not have 2 incomes, but if you can be at home with your kids, we encourage those kinds of things, And sorry about that. Oh, sorry about that. But, where was I going with that? Okay, so here's my point of that. So what advice would you give to me as a leader and maybe the member that is not, it's on, like you said, on paper looks good. Because women, it's not so much successful in business. I mean, she's a good mom. She's a good wife. She's a good housekeeper. She just basically, here she is. Here's the bar, just level. What advice would you give to me as a leader to get her out of this? I just want to tweak it to make it a little better. Well, what's better? Okay, so let me explain this a little better. What I'm trying to encourage is so we started our visions, with our 4 weeks to a fresh start program. And the first part of that is creating a vision of what your ideal life would be. And I've got a few comments back that were like, oh, I'm waiting for my husband to come home and help me with that. Or it's very vague. Like, I just have happy kids and I love God and it's very vague. And I'm sitting here going, listen, before you're not married, you don't have kids, you are a woman. Come back to what it is to be just Gina, a woman, and do your vision that way. How do you get people to dream bigger, I guess? Because maybe the big dream for them is just a happy home life. And that's fine. I'm not saying that's bad, as long as that really is your dream, Gina's dream, not what your husband's dream for you is, not what your society's dream for you is. How do you help people get out of their own way?
Yeah, that's why the vision statement and the plans are so important, because you can't achieve those things without a plan. I mean, you need to have a plan to work. Like, you need to have a plan to take action on to start seeing those results. Vision statements can be challenging because most people look at vision statements and they see like, okay, this vision statement is like my end all be all, 30 years down the road, and this is what it's going to look like. It's hard to sometimes work toward that vision because it is so big. Like, I think, me personally, I think your vision statement should be intergalactic, out of this world. It should be as big as you want it to be. But how do you get there? That's what the plan is all about. So with my guys, when I was leading the Alpha team, we would actually do 2 vision statements. And I know that you might think 2 vision statements, that's kind of crazy. Well, okay, so you have this big overarching vision statement. And then I tell them, okay, take that vision statement, cut it down to like 18 to 24 months. So you can like really reach for some of those things. Instead of 30 years from now, what can you do over the next 18 or 24 months that is supporting that vision statement? And then again, inside the Iron Council, we have our battle plans, which are quarterly, so you do 4 a year, that are also supporting the vision statement, the overarching vision statement. So really breaking your plan down, you've got to get laser specific. I'm going to speak to this person, or this proverbial person that you're talking about out of your group. First of all, I'm not going to act like I know how to
be
lead
a woman.
or be a woman and help a woman
your
grow
wife's
in her own
standing
personal
in front of you going, you better shut your mouth. You better watch out. She's like, this, like.
But from a planning perspective, that's funny. From a planning perspective, this applies, I don't care who you are or what you are. This applies no matter what. What is it you want? So if you want to have, if you mentioned this woman says that she wants to have a happy house. Okay, that's a great thing to work toward. But there's a lot that goes into a happy house, right?
Yeah, what does that mean?
You've got kids, you've got a house, a husband, you've got all of the things to make your house happy. What does that look like? So my point is, regardless if you're a woman or a man, you're building this plan or however you're trying to do it, you got to strip this thing all the way down. Like you said, all the way to the basics. So what does a happy house look like? Okay, it looks like this. So what's the next layer under that? What does that look like? It looks like this. So you got to keep stripping this thing all the way down. A happy house probably includes you being healthy and fit. That pours into a happy house. What does that look like? A happy house probably looks like, if that looks like you being home, raising your kids, what does that look like? That pours into the financial side of things because your husband's got to be able to support you. Now, let me make this very clear, Gina. You can be home like you are with your kids. You're still making money. You're still earning it. There are creative ways to go about this. This goes in, and then it goes into the whole homeschool thing. So my wife, we homeschool our 2 kids. We have a 9-year-old son, Max, and my 5-year-old daughter, Goldie. We homeschool our kids, and my wife is home. So how do you do that? I realize that the sacrifices have to happen on both sides. I work a lot in order to provide for our family. I also work from home. I'm talking to you from my office right now. So I am here. I am engaged. I am taking part in some of the homeschooling activities and raising our kids and having a happy house. So you just have to strip it down all the way. Peel that onion down to the very, very core until there's nothing left to peel. And then you'll be able to start planning what it looks like if that vision statement is to have a happy house. And you can make that a lot more specific. The broad statements are good, but they're usually are leaving a lot on the table. So you've just got to continually question. And again, that's what the whole point of having this accountability partner like you have, like in your group, a Hype Girl, or in our, now in the Iron Council with our teams, like guys post their battle plans and they get torn to shreds because they're not specific enough, or you're not going to get to that result. I mean, for 6 years, 5 or 6 years, I've been doing a battle plan every quarter. And that's a lot of battle plans, so I've seen, and I've had plans that have failed time and time again. Now I have a very good handle on what it looks like to build an effective plan and work that plan, but there's still times I have to tweak it. And that's the other side of this too. You build this plan, you start working the plan's not going the way you wanted, so you just stop. You just give up. Don't give up. Just change the plan. Pivot. Act on it and pivot. Now, don't give up because you don't want to do the thing anymore. But if it's legitimately not working, if you have a plan to go run a 10K, if you're working towards that, and you tear your ACL, you're not running the 10K. Yeah. Like, let's just be honest, like you're just not doing it. So change your plan. Now, if you're working towards that and you're like, I'm just over it, I don't want to do it. I'm not interested anymore. I don't know. You should probably push yourself and see it through, like, because you committed to that plan. So I guess in a nutshell, that's where I would leave it.
I love it.
It's a lot to unpack.
No, because that's exactly it's. So we've only been open for 11 days now. The Sisterhood has only been available for 11 days, going on 12 today. I'm figuring out these women. I'm getting to know them. I don't think they necessarily know me yet because they don't know that I do have a little Ryan underneath this. Hi, ladies. I'm your friend. It's going to be, I'm not going to sugarcoat this because this is going to get done. It's not doing you any favors. It's not doing my community any favors. We're going to cut through some bull. And so I don't think they've seen that side of me quite yet, but it's coming. She's coming. And I'm excited for it because I really want to shake up some thinking. And I do think that even like you're saying, along with just reading books, like I've been having this conversation with everybody. It's just going from not reading books like self-help books and business books and whatever, where I didn't care about that stuff, but now I do. It's just making my mind, if you think of it like a lock and all of a sudden it just unlocked, like it just, your mind gets into a different place. And that's what being surrounded by different people with that same mindset does for you. It constantly gets your brain into this, wait, I can think like this. I'm allowed to dream bigger. I'm allowed to ask for what I want. I'm allowed to, so I'm really excited for that part of it. What were some of actually, I'm going to ask this question first. So when you were growing the community, when Ryan was growing, I don't even know this. I'm just super curious about it. I mean, were you guys, aside from what I have now, I obviously have more than you. I have the podcast. I have social media. I have all sorts of legs for marketing my sisterhood. But were you guys out there saying, you got to come join this. You got to come join this. You've got to be part of this. You need to be part of this. This was because that it takes numbers. It really does. A community takes numbers. Yep. No one's going to hold you accountable if there's no one in there to do it. It's just me sitting there going, well, today I'm going to do a push-up. That's enough.
Yeah. No, so Ryan, Order Man was his podcast. He had been interviewing guests, early on. So that was alive and up and running. albeit very early in the stages. We also have a very active Facebook group, the Order Man Facebook group. Again, at the time, I think when I joined, there was 100 or 200 guys in the group, in the Facebook group, which is just a free Facebook group for men.
Which ladies, that's what ours is at too, is high 100.
So now it's way up there. Way up there. And so that group has always been the pool of marketing for this and then the podcast. But that's really been it. And then Ryan's email list and that sort of thing. And that's really that's been it. His social media accounts. So yes, it was always promoted that way, but it's always just taken a little time. We've always thought, it's funny now that I sit here and think about the Facebook group and the numbers, we've always had about 1% of the Facebook group in the Iron Council.
Yeah, the Facebook group's huge. Your Facebook group is huge.
Yeah, it's 100 and something thousand.
Yeah, it's big. I looked at it. It's huge.
It's a big group. And we've always pretty true to all the over time has always been about 1% of the Facebook group has always been how many members in the Iron Council we have. So, it's always just been promoting the message. And then obviously as it's grown, even just up until 2 years ago or so, did we start doing events, inside that, in-person events, Order Man events type things, which has always been good because that's always invited guys that were just followers of Order of Man, not necessarily Iron Council members. And then it just so happened to be Iron Council members that would go to the events, myself, speak at these events, so on and so forth. And that would grow the membership. And now we do it a little differently. Now we only open it up quarterly for guys to join.
Yep. Yeah.
Instead of being open all the time.
The Sisterhood's open, ladies. It's open. Come on over. It's open all the time.
Build it up.
It's all the time.
Yep.
We want you. We want more. So what were the benchmarks going back to you said your teams you've kept, and I don't mean to keep going back to what the Iron Council is, but it's just, I'm curious. And so I'm seeing as I'm doing things and kind of working on, is that going to work for us? Is this going to work for us? Whatever. But I think did you start breaking up into teams like Team Alpha? How many people were in the Iron Council when you started Team Alpha?
50 or 60, maybe.
That's what I mean.
Maybe a little more.
The team was
when we realized that it was
too much for just
too hard to manage, like the individual pairings. And the thing that we ran into with the individual pairings, which was good early on because it was such a small, tight group. But as it grew, some guys were way more committed than other guys. And that's understandable.
Yeah.
And you're going to see that too.
Yeah.
So it was hard where you would be paired up for 30 days with a guy and it would just be like you would talk on the phone once a day and text, and it was just like really awesome synergy. And then the next month you get paired up with another guy and for whatever reason, whether he's just super busy with work, it just wasn't the way you might talk once a week and it just wasn't the same energy. And so that really ebbed and flowed, the roller coaster, right? Like that was a big part of it. So we realized the team structure made a lot more sense, but you've got to have a little depth on the bench to start creating teams.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. So I've paired them up and that's exactly what you talked about, the ebbs and flows is. So do you think a month is too long, or do you think a month is actually perfect and you deal with the ebbs and flows? Ebbs and flows create character too, because it makes you work harder to pull things from another person. It makes you have to do the work rather than if it's an easy, that's not growth. If it's super easy, you may be enjoying it. It's funner. It's more interactive, but that's not easy. That's not growth. Sorry.
Correct. Yeah. We haven't done the individual pairings in quite some time. So some of our teams, they break up into even smaller groups inside their teams, like little fire teams with 3 or 4 guys on each one. And that's like real, even more laser focused and, probably daily communication in a chat group and that sort of thing. Not that your team shouldn't be doing that as well. I don't know. I think, Gina, for you guys and for the ladies, for the ladies inside the Sisterhood right now, I think you just have to try it. Like if you're doing it for 30 days here and there and it doesn't seem to work, and take some feedback from the women inside the group. That's the other piece of this too, is like you mentioned, we're always growing, and yes, it's your group and you're the leader, but there's going to be a lot of good feedback from what's working and what's not. So maybe it is a quarterly thing where it's paired up in that regard. I feel like with the unique position you're in and with the Iron Council as, offering what you offer to the women and obviously all the men that are in the Iron Council, you might grow a lot quicker than you think you will, and you'll be exploring teams, much sooner.
Yeah. Well, the reason I asked about that is I actually got a comment from someone about I can't form an intimate relationship with someone in 2 weeks, in 30 days. It's over months and years. And
That's fair.
I get that, but this person doesn't understand what this community is then, I think, because like anything, what you give is what you're going to get. But my husband wasn't part of the Iron Council, and he met these couple guys from the Iron Council hunting, and that trip was only, 7 days long? I don't even know. And he formed such strong bonds with those men that then he took his family around the country and we stayed at their houses. These are people I've never met, but my husband formed such strong bonds with them. And now he continues, they have a weight challenge going right now, $500 in the pot, and they text each other like every day and staying on top of it. But the point is the outside of these communities, outside of the Iron Council, outside of the Sisterhood, yes, I get that you might only form a really strong relationship with someone over months, over years, whatever. I don't have that kind of time. That's why I want to be in a community like this with like-minded women. I've already cut through the bull. I've already cut through the first meet and greets and, what is this? I know what their views are pretty much. I mean, I know what their politics are. I know what they're good people just like me. I've already cut through the small talk. So now I am in this group to cut through the bull. I want to know why, not just, hey, how's your husband? I want to know, how's your marriage and why? I want to know, I'm asking deeper questions. So that's what I'm saying is it shouldn't be that hard. We're in this. We've already cut through the small talk. We're in this group. Small talk's outside of the group. We're in this group together. Now's time for the hard questions. And that's where those intimate relationships grow.
Yeah, I think, I guess my challenge to you, Gina, then would be, you said you're going to show up in this particular way, to really push these women. I think it sounds like that's what they need.
Yeah.
Like you need to, leading by example here, like just showing up in that way time and time again, and just making sure that it's understood what the expectation is. I mean, you're not asking them to form a lifelong relationship in 30 days. You're asking them to show up for someone else in the group for 30 days, to commit to them, to hold them accountable to what it is they want to achieve. Gina, if you and I are in accountability partners, I'm going to come to you and I'm going to say, Gina, what can I do for you and what do you need in these next 30 days? And that should be a very concise, laser-focused answer. I need X, Y, and Z. Cool. That's when I'm going to show up for you in those ways, those particular ways. It's not this huge glorified relationship. It's these particular laser-focused things that you need right now to, continue to achieve, to continue to move forward with what it is you're trying to win on.
Absolutely. Yep, I agree with you. So, gosh, you made it through the lightning round. I'm sure I have so many more questions because your poor phone, I text you all the time. Drew, what's this? Drew, what's this? Drew, what's this?
It's all good. I answer when I have time to answer.
You do right? Good. I really appreciate you coming on here. I think that you have helped so much and you've answered so many of my questions, which if they're my questions, I'm sure they're everybody's questions in my group and anybody that's just thinking about joining my group. And I really appreciate your time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Gina. Happy to be here. And if I can ever be of assistance down the road, please let me know. We'll do it again.
Oh, I will.